I swing back to the media and Trump and Russia and the FBI director and the NSA director. I was watching the hearings a little bit more after we produced the program yesterday, and I watched this Congresswoman, a Republican from Albany, who is a freshman. Her name is Elise Stefanik. Elise Stefanik. I was very, very impressed with a number of questions she asked. And as a matter of fact, I was very disappointed that nobody followed up on the questions she asked. She didn't go much further either, but she laid the predicate. And I want you to listen to this, and I want to follow up with you on this, and then more broadly explain what I see here. All right? This is from yesterday's hearing. Go ahead.
My first set of questions are directed at Director Comey. Broadly, when the FBI has any open counterintelligence investigation, what are the typical protocols or procedures for notifying the DNI, the White House, and senior congressional leadership?
Stop. The Director of National Intelligence, who runs the umbrella organization of the various intelligence agencies, the White House, and senior congressional leadership. Okay? Remember those three. Go ahead.
There is a practice of a quarterly briefing on sensitive cases to the chair and ranking of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees.
Stop. Listen to that. I know you heard it. I want to underscore it. There's a practice of a quarterly, it's every 3 months, briefing of the leaders of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, right? Every 4 months on sensitive matters. Go ahead.
And I hesitate is, thanks to feedback we've gotten, we're trying to make it better. And that involves a briefing of the Department of Justice, I believe the DNI, and the some portion of the National Security Council at the White House.
Stop. DOJ, Department of Justice, the Director of National Intelligence, and the National Security Council. The National Security Council sits at the White House. It's different than the National Security Agency. It's not the NSA, it's the council. Susan Rice headed that council. Ben Rose was the deputy. Two political appointees who report directly to the President of the United States. Okay? Go.
So if that's quarterly...
Brief them before Congress is briefed.
So it's quarterly for all three, then senior congressional leadership, the White House, and the DNI?
I think that's right. Now that's by practice, not by rule or by written policy, which is why, thanks to the chair and ranking giving us feedback, we're trying to tweak it in certain ways.
So since in your opening statement you confirmed that there is a counterintelligence investigation currently open, and you also referenced that it started in July, when did you notify the DNI, the White House, or senior congressional leadership?
Bingo. When did you notify the Director of National Intelligence, the White House, and senior congressional leadership that since July you have conducted a counterintelligence investigation of the Trump campaign dash Russia? That's a big question. That's a big deal. Go ahead.
Good question. Congressional leadership, sometime recently, they were briefed on the nature of the investigation in some detail, as I said.
Stop. Sometime recently. Now let me do my math. July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Now, I'm not great at math, but I count 8 months. And I thought on sensitive issues, he did it every quarter. Quarter's 3 months, right? So that's more than half a year. Well, why did he wait? This is truly shocking. Go ahead.
Obviously, the Department of Justice has been aware of it all along. The DNI, I don't know what the DNI's knowledge of it was because we didn't have a DNI until...
Stop. Yes, you did have a DNI. The Director of National Intelligence is Clapper. Clapper's been there for several years. I don't know what he means we didn't have a DNI. Director of National Intelligence. We certainly did. Let me tell you what's going on here. He's nervous. He's nervous. Something's not right. And I'll get to that in a minute. Go ahead.
Coates took office, and I briefed him his first morning.
Stop. Coates replaced Clapper a week or two or whatever ago, but that's not the point. We had intervening months. Clapper left, let's say, January 20th. Okay? So we have July, August, September, October, November, December, January, about 6-month period for about a half a year. Not 3 months, 6 months, about a half a year on a matter this sensitive in the middle of a presidential campaign. Apparently, he didn't tell Clapper, did he? Go ahead.
Office.
So just to drill down on this, if the open investigation began in July and the briefing of congressional leadership only occurred recently, why was there no notification prior to the past month?
I think our decision was it was a matter of such sensitivity that we wouldn't include it in the quarterly briefing.
Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, you understand the FBI is part of the executive branch. But Congress creates the FBI. Congress funds the FBI. The Senate has to confirm this man to be director of the FBI. So it's so sensitive, you see, this investigation, with leaks all over the place, I might add. Leaks all over the place. White House staff getting intelligence information, according to the New York Times. We don't know who they got it from or what kind of intelligence information, but we're told they were spreading around the government agencies for fear that it would be destroyed. He did not tell the senior congressman on the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Intelligence Committee until recently, until the election's over, that this was even taking place. That is stunning. Mr. Clapper wasn't told. Mr. Clapper wasn't told. The DNI, the umbrella organization. Since the 9/11 report, Congress has created this Director of National Intelligence to coordinate all intelligence activity and so forth. He wasn't told. So this is just within the bubble of the FBI, or was it? As I'm going to get to in a minute. Go ahead.
So when you state our decision, is that your decision? Is that usually your decision what gets briefed in those quarterly updates?
No, it's usually the decision of the head of our counterintelligence division.
Stop. He just threw the head of his counterintelligence division under the bus. It's his decision who gets briefed and when they get briefed. When I hear a CEO or a director or a president or a chairman make a comment like that, it repulses me. What he should have said there, it's my underling's decision, but in the end it's my decision. But he didn't say that. He calls the shots, but I back him up. He didn't say that either. He didn't say that either. Go ahead.
And just, again, to get the detailed on the record, why was the decision made not to brief senior congressional leadership until recently, when the investigation had been open since July, a very serious investigation? Why was that decision made to wait months?
Because of the sensitivity of the matter?
I could throw this microphone at that. I'll tell you why. Because the next question would be, and when did you brief the White House? When did you brief the White House? And who at the White House did you brief? Because they already established that the Director of National Intelligence, right, and the White House, at a minimum, the National Security Council, which directly advises the President of the United States on national security intelligence. So we know that the Attorney General knew. I can tell you this as a former Chief of Staff to the Attorney General, that if the FBI was doing this, the Attorney General would know. And there's a lot of reasons for that. They just would. So Loretta Lynch knew. You have to assume Susan Rice over there at the NSC knew, and her deputy, likely, Ben Rose. But Congress wasn't told. And the Director of National Intelligence wasn't told. But the follow-up question to me would have been, when did you inform the White House? And to whom did you inform over at the White House? and nobody asked the question. Why? Why didn't anybody ask the question? The fact of the matter is, the idea that all this is going on during the course of a presidential campaign, that if the New York Times is correct, and we know it's always correct, that there are 17 federal agencies and departments, including the NSA and the FBI and the CIA and the DNI and so forth and so on, involved in these meetings together, going over what they know about Russia. And now we know there's an ongoing counterintelligence investigation that's been going on since July over at the FBI. Over at the FBI. The idea that the president didn't know at least some of this, that would be Obama, is absurd. Now, this doesn't mean that Obama ordered Trump's phones wiretapped. That doesn't even matter to me. I've dismissed that all along. That's not the point. Is it not extraordinary to you that during the course of a presidential election, the FBI is investigating a presidential campaign because it might have contacts with the Russia? We're not talking about Hillary Clinton, who clearly violated the Espionage Act multiple times, a serial violator of the Espionage Act, who in my view should have been charged, but she wasn't. Okay. But what is the predicate here? That a handful of people who worked in the transition or in the campaign or so forth and so on had done business with Russia or were represented the Ukraine or whatever it is? Or whatever it is? I don't know. None of us know. We still don't know about the FISA courts. That is, the summer and October. We still don't know. We still don't know which staffers, according to the New York Times in March, had intelligence information. White House officials, quote unquote. If I were investigating this, if, I got it, but if I were investigating this, I would start with the political appointees. That's who I would start with. Not with the civil servants at the various law enforcement and intelligence agencies. Those are good people. I would start with the people who had a reason to leak. If you're working in the bowels of the FBI or the CIA or the NSA or what have you, the vast majority of people are there. I'm not talking about the Snowden types who was a contractor and so forth, but the overwhelming majority of people are there because they're patriots. They have no reason to leak this stuff. It undermines them. It undermines their life's work. It undermines their career. It puts their necks on the line and so forth and so on. It's possible, don't get me wrong. But you have to deal in likelihoods when you're an investigator. So who would want to leak stuff that creates the impression, the insinuation, the suggestion that something ain't kosher with this president? Mostly political appointees, right? Or people of that sort. I don't know. I'm surmising. But when you're doing an investigation, that's what you do. You surmise. You try and put the pieces together. You try and use common sense. Who has motives? What's the intent? And so forth and so on. This hearing yesterday, that's the closest we got. The closest we got to actually learning something substantive. Because beyond that, beyond the FBI director flopping on the table that there's an ongoing counterintelligence investigation of the Trump campaign / Russia, which the media got all excited about, oddly so, by the way, because I thought the media said, can you prove Mark Levin, right-wing conspiracy hack, that there's any investigation going on of the Trump people? Hey, can you prove it? Well, looky here. So now they don't know what to do with me, the media. They don't know how to report about me. Hey, let's just move along. Let's forget about that. But I want you to think about this, because I'm going to stick to my guns on this. What exactly has taken place since July here in terms of investigations by a sitting Democrat president supporting a Democrat nominee for president, respecting a Republican nominee for president? I don't trust this guy, Comey, for 100 reasons. But the fact that he is, I will call him a drama queen, not because he's a queen, obviously, but the drama aspects, that's the phrase, his willingness to reveal certain things that you go, whoa, he just revealed that? And then on the other hand, his unwillingness to reveal other things. So we know there's this big investigation going on. But I can't talk about leaks, because then I might be confirming there's an investigation. Well, you just said there's an investigation. Well, I might be confirming the accuracy of the information. No, you're not. You're trying to find the person who leaked. Well, I'm not going to do it. So he slams the door shut on essentially any basic common sense curiosity about what's taken place in the leaks and so forth. But he flops the flounder on the table. Look at this, and it's bouncing there. The flounder he flops on the table. Oh, there's an ongoing counterintelligence investigation. Of course, the media loved it, and they're off to the races. Look, I don't know what this investigation's going to find. Somebody's guilty of something, fine. Somebody's not. We need to know that too. But what I'm concerned about is the institution of the executive branch and what took place as somebody who served in the executive branch for 8 years under a great president, Ronald Reagan. I'm concerned about what's been done at the senior levels, the politicization of law enforcement and intelligence. And when I put together these stories about what was being reported, and people, some of their eyes are, holy mackerel, look how he put that together. That's right. I didn't report these things. The media reported these things. And we still need to get to the bottom of it. Anyway, I wanted to tell you about her because I thought what she said was actually a big deal. And what concerned me, of course, is they didn't really go in for the final point. Now, our friends at the American Spectator, George Neumeyer, he said, after all the parsing at the Comey hearing, what remains the bottom line? Oh, yes, Obama did investigate Trump, he said. And I would argue the Obama administration. That's what we're talking about. He says, straining at the tweet and swallowing the camel has become Washington's favorite pursuit. And it was on tiresome display at Monday's congressional hearing with Jim Comey. Out of it came two clashing headlines. Comey denies Obama ordered wiretapping on Trump. The FBI is investigating Trump's links to Russia. In other words, the core claim underlying Trump's tweet is true. People acting on the authority of Obama opened an investigation into Trump's campaign, then criminally leaked mention of it to friendly news outlets in an attempt to derail his election. When is Obama going to apologize for that, writes Neumeyer? Were the Republicans less feckless and docile to the media-determined parameters of any discussion, they would have kept the focus on the outrageousness of Obama investigating an opposing party's candidate at the height of an election campaign. But their first instinct is always to distance himself from Trump, not to defend him. So unlike Adam Schiff, who prosecuted the case for the Democrats ruthlessly, the Republicans dithered, striking Comey with the flat of the blade. Instead of probing his vague answers, they complacently accepted them before trailing off into the next series of unilluminating questions. Well, that's the position Neumeyer takes, and in most respects, he's right on. They revealed that the Obama administration was, in fact, investigating the Trump campaign, during the campaign, and apparently using law enforcement and intelligence instrumentalities and tools to do so. Exactly what the headline said, exactly what I said. And eventually, I hope we get to the bottom of this when it's all over. The House got nowhere. But that young freshman congresswoman from outside Albany, New York, came the closest. And nobody noticed her. But now you know the story. That's it.